Our goal is to get to 80% of calls being answered within 20 seconds.
Wow.
If we hit that for 5 days in a row, then I'm going to buy team t-shirts for everybody.
Welcome to Unjargoned, a podcast about healthcare workflows that make sense. And without all the acronyms, we talk to people on the front lines of healthcare and explore cool workflows they're using to solve real problems. Today, we've got someone who lives and breathes the art of getting patients in the door and keeping them there. Katie Pittman is a healthcare growth wizard and patient access advocate. She's not afraid to roll her sleeves up to fix the messy stuff, from no-show rates to provider schedules to everything in between. Katie, we're so excited to have you here today. I know you started your career in the pharmacy setting, but we'd love to hear what got you into healthcare to begin with.
I would definitely say my mom. My mom's actually been a nurse at Golden Valley my entire life.
Wow.
So I grew up watching her take care of people, and that really developed in me at a young age.
Oh my goodness. I feel like this leads into this whole Golden Valley is your family. And I feel like it truly is with starting with your mom. Can you talk us through that a little bit more?
Actually, I don't know if you guys know this, but in 92, a legend was born here. Me. I almost got Dave on that. Yeah. I was born at Golden Valley. They called it the legendary year.
Oh my goodness.
Books have been written since.
Yeah, they have a few.
What watching your mom led you to this career that you built where you have impacted so many people in your community?
I think to work in healthcare, you have to be empathetic to people. And my mom's one of the most empathetic people I know. And I definitely have that trait. And so helping someone fills my cup. It makes me feel good. And I watched her do that, and I wanted to replicate that.
Why did you choose the route of helping the health system run as a business as opposed to going and being a nurse or a physician? What was the fork in the road there?
So I had a fantastic leader in a role, and that really inspired me to become more and want to do more. I started as a scheduler, and so I knew the ins and outs, and I know how hard my team works every day. And I think that helps me be a really good leader because I've been in their shoes. And so everything I'm doing every day is to figure out ways to optimize things and make their days easier, which is a big reason why I was drawn towards Luma. So many things are automated, whereas you're letting the computer do the work for you, which is a huge thing.
I heard there's a running joke that when you turn on reminders, it brought you from 1990 to 2025.
That is a real statement I made in a meeting. When I started in scheduling, the appointment reminder system we had, you got a phone call from a random number at 6 o'clock the night before your appointment. That's the only reminder you got. And it was like a weird automated voice. If your appointment was not made before 2 o'clock that day, you weren't getting a reminder. And then I would manually go through and run these lists for providers each morning really early to make sure they got any patients that had responded no, because nothing happened in the system. And I would individually email out to all these different MAs and nurses what patients had canceled or not. And so that's where we started. We really started kind of like the Oregon Trail forward. So it's really cool to even think about having a system now that we're letting do the work for us so that my people can use their brains to do the hard stuff, the stuff that requires emotion and making intelligent choices.
The Oregon Trail call out, I was also born in 92, so I remember those days in elementary school going to the computer lab and playing Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Well, if that makes you feel any better, I was graduating high school in 92.
Well,
damn, just kidding. That out.
So question, Katie, because I've had the opportunity to spend time with you, and you have a really unique ability to take very common problems and apply vision to them. And then that vision allows executives to see the lens in which this Venn diagram of the patient, the physician, and the business entity to come into focus. Obviously, you had a vision here of the things that could be transformative for your community.
Yeah.
What were some of those, and why did you arrive at those?
As a scheduler, always felt like whoever I was speaking with at that time, I was the advocate for them. I was that patient's advocate at any given time. And I tell my team that all the time. Whoever you're talking to, you're their advocate. I didn't take no for an answer. I was going to figure out a way, and I want them to have that same mindset too. If they're having a problem, come tell me. I'll be the muscle to help them figure it out or to already know how. But I've been the patient. I've been the mom. I've been the daughter. I've been the granddaughter of patients who've had to go through different things in healthcare. And so when I tried to think of making something simpler, I'm thinking about the patient. I'm thinking about the provider. And I know how much providers are doing and all the dictation and documentation they're having to do. So I want to make their job easier too, so my team can simply put someone on their schedule and then they have trust knowing that their day is going to flow correctly because my team did their job.
How did you come to find Luma in this world of solutions that are out there?
Spiro. I mean, seriously, I met Spiro probably 2 years ago at a Muse conference, and we've really just connected every time I've ever been to one. And he was really persistent in showing all the wonderful things you guys have. You know, our prior system really, it really elevated us from the Oregon Trail days, but it leaves a lot of manual work and we don't have time. We took 35,000 calls last month inbound. We don't have time to manually take care of cancellations because I want every scheduler that answers the phone to be able to take their time and be the advocate. But when we're taking in that many calls, they don't have time to stop and really make sure that that patient has everything done that they need. And that's what I want. I want every experience that every person calls in to be individualized and they felt heard.
How does your team feel about the fact that when they go out into the community, a grocery store, when they go out to watch a movie, that likely they've been on the receiving end of a phone call from somebody that's sitting in that same audience or half the audience? I mean, how does that affect the speed in which you think about doing things?
It absolutely makes it more personal. When you know the person that's on the other end of the phone and you're wanting to make sure you get it right, and you know that this person has kids that are in your children's class or whatever the scenario might be, it gives even more importance to making sure you're getting it right the first time.
Like hearing 35,000 outbound calls makes my brain like physically
that's
ache.
huge. Like,
and because that doesn't even include like the phone tag, like the inbounds that come in after
so
that.
That's actually inbound, 35,000 inbound.
Okay. And then what is outbound? Do you know?
It's around that. It's probably about half of that outbound because we're not able to make as many outbound calls because we have so many inbound.
Yeah. And then what is the hold time, right? Like, do you have any breakdown of like, if a patient's on hold, do you call them back? Do they just stay on hold? What's that switchboard experience like?
Yeah. So actually, we just upgraded our phone system to Avaya Cloud Office, and it has been game changing. I have a live call reporting statistic wallboard that I can see at all times. So I can see how many calls are in the queue, how many patients are waiting, who's logged in the phone tree, who's not.
Awesome.
Our goal is to get to 80% of calls being answered within 20 seconds.
Wow.
So I've set out a challenge to my team actually this last week. And if we hit that for 5 days in a row, then I'm going to buy team t-shirts for everybody. So we're working hard on that. But it's a really hard goal to make when you're receiving in about 5,000 to 6,000 calls a week.
I feel like your quality bar is so high to be even shooting for a 20-second response rate. Like usually I hear health systems be like, can we at least get a minute? Like most calls drop after 2 and they can't even hit that 2 minutes. Like hearing 20 seconds from you is like, I can't even comprehend that. That's so cool.
Well, I kind of set that because our abandon rate, the average time for abandonment is actually really low for our organization. Patients are hanging up after about a minute. Yeah. So I've got to get that call rate down.
Amazing. I'd love to hear about some workflows. I know you're live with reminders. I know we're turning on some other things as days come forward, but like, let's talk about your referrals because I'm sure a lot of those are inbound related or patients asking to schedule an appointment.
Yeah.
What does that look like end to end?
So current state, we get a referral from a provider. Our referral coordinators process that by communicating with whatever specialty scheduler that needs to go to, and then they work to get it scheduled internally. The piece where the time delay comes in is getting the patient to answer. When you're having to cold call 1,000 referrals a month, because that's about how many we process a month, it's pretty difficult. So with our prior appointment reminder system, I thought of a way to create kind of a quick text, and they will manually send a text to patients saying, Katie, we've received a referral from your provider for such and such service. Please call scheduling at this number to schedule your appointment. So currently they do that manual text, and then on the second attempt, they physically try to call the patient, and then we send another text, and we usually close the loop by letting the provider know all the times we've attempted to contact the patient. And we also usually mail a letter.
Is the text asking them to call in?
Mm-hmm.
Which probably leads to your inbound call volume. It's like a chicken and egg problem spinning in circles.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense. Oh, and where are these referrals coming into? Are they over fax?
Through fax, through our EHR, paper, you name it.
Got it. Are patients sometimes calling in like, I got referred to you and I need to schedule my... Got it. Okay. Do you have an idea of like most of them coming through fax, most of them coming through the EHR?
So we process about 6,000 faxes every month. I would say we do just as many through the EHR.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all are booked and busy.
We are. We have some really fantastic providers at our facility, and that speaks to it. The need is there, and it's never going to stop growing. In the last 7 years, I mean, I was on a team of 5 schedulers, and now I have 15 schedulers and 6 referral coordinators.
Gosh. This doesn't even include scheduling outside of referrals. Like open schedule. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Katie, I know you probably signed up for a lot of things with Luma. Are we including like online scheduling and referrals and faxes as well? I know you're in my queue for faxes, but does that include online scheduling?
We checked every box for every Luma product.
I love. So I'd love to take it from beginning to end of like how this might impact Golden Valley, which is like we ingest that fax in, we transcribe it, and then we immediately send the patient a text message saying book your appointment. And there's a link in there to book their appointment online. Our conversion rate's around 40% just with no customization, no optimization at all. How valuable would that be for Golden Valley to take over those like 5,000-6,000 referrals?
I don't think you can put a value to that. It's invaluable. We need a change with that so badly to be able 40%. Did you say 40%?
Yeah. Just baseline, no optimizations.
Yeah. You're making me excited, Angie. I'm serious. That will be game changing. Absolutely game changing.
From that, like when I'm building new products, I like to focus on like, let's make sure the team can like focus on more higher value patient care. Like let's let them not work on all of this junky stuff that they have to do every day. Like what are some other tasks that your team could potentially work on instead of managing like a fax queue or doing these like outbound calls?
Making sure that provider schedules are correct and accurate, making sure that when we're talking to patients, we can ask them, is there anything else we can help you with? Let me take care of your imaging, your cardiology appointment, your PCP appointment, all in one call. Let's make sure everything is all queued up for you. Make sure your insurance is correct. Make sure your demographics are correct. And also not feeling rushed. I hear that with them. Calls are coming in and I hear the calls become a little more rushed because they have to be. And I want them to be able to take the time with each patient so it feels personal.
This goes
Our
back
patients
to
deserve that.
Yeah. This goes back to your story of like, you want them to be an advocate for the patient, but that's hard to do when you're like drowning all the time. You're like trying to come up for air. There's no place or time to be that person. Got it.
We've heard a lot, Katie, of this similar problem. You have these multiple channels coming in with referrals. What's always interesting to us is when you hear how many attempts do you give before you give up? And then the ones that you've given up on, some health systems and access leaders choose to leave those active for a period of time. But it's like this large backlog that builds. I see you nodding your head. So take us through what's the workflow that you envision and want to attack that backlog? And what do you think are some of the diamonds that are going to come out of doing that for that group of people who were referred for something and clearly never got seen?
I think the most important thing that can come out of a workflow for me is when my team attempts to contact patients 3 times, and then we're letting the provider know and sending a letter. My ultimate goal would be that provider knows they're catching that patient at that next visit and saying, hey, I got word back, that I ordered this for you and we need to get this scheduled. Let's call down the scheduling and get you taken care of. Just like that. Because sometimes it's hard for us to answer a call, take the time to send a message to the provider. We've tried all these times. So there's pieces in there that are really manual right now that are taking up the time we don't have to open up communication.
And do you imagine a workflow where Luma will go after those unscheduled orders and convert them? And if so, tell us about that.
So the first thing that comes to mind for me is our imaging wait list, because it is the number one most I don't want to use the word daunting, but it does feel daunting because there are so many new orders every single day put on it. I envision, the patients being contacted 3 times and then perhaps living on a list for a little bit of time, but ensuring that that provider knows this MRI you ordered didn't get scheduled, but all these attempts have been made to contact the patient to schedule. I want providers to be able to trust and know that we've made every possible attempt, but also, hey, I need you to step in now, and when your patient comes to see you, make us aware and we'll get it taken care of.
There's probably some like relationship management as well that you have to maintain with these like referring providers to make sure that
Oh,
y'all are also
absolutely.
doing your part. With that fax, we do automate that. And so we'll send that follow-up fax to that referring provider, including the entire chat log of all the messages that we sent automatically to the patient. Won't include what you manually called, but that doesn't count anyway. But it gives a full history of like, this is everything that we sent to the patient and the patient hasn't responded. So it puts that leverage back on that referring provider rather than carrying that weight on the Golden Valley side.
Well, and I think too, a lot of our providers are our own providers.
Yeah.
Referring. So I think too, having that communication and them understanding what our process is and not having to question, did that happen or did that not? Because they do have to question that, because right now we really are just kind of scraping by. I envision a process where they're not having to question that we tried. We're letting the computer do the work for us on that side, and that when patients are calling us with questions about procedures or they need to move something or need to talk to a person, that we're taking our personal time and listening to them and making sure that they get in contact with their provider if they have more questions, because we do have a lot of people call just wanting to talk, or they need medication refills or things like that.
This is just a question out of curiosity. If you were able to get every single referral scheduled, do you have capacity, like availability on the schedule for all of those patients?
I would say a majority of our providers make it happen.
Amazing.
A lot of our providers build their schedules too, where they have same day appointment slots already built in. So we don't book in them unless it's truly same day. And so that always allows room for their patients to know my provider always has a spot for me if I'm sick on any given day, which is a wonderful thing that we can offer.
Yeah, that combination, Katie, of what Angie is talking about being able to automate faxes coming in, help automate some of the decisioning of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we're batting an average of 40% and you look at that percent coming in of referrals, you now have really talented team members that can do some very different things.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward that this is the world that happens. And we're sending out a scheduling link. By the way, we're also going after that stack of referrals that never got scheduled, and we're parsing through that and helping to get things scheduled. If you could pick one thing that your staff would do that it would have the most meaningful business impact, what would they do and why?
Something that I'm really passionate about is wellness care. Mammograms, colonoscopies, both of those things have saved people in my life. And I know people that I work for me too. So if my team had time to really follow up with patients and make sure that they're having their yearly visits, that they're having their yearly mammograms, all the screening things, that would be a big impact for me. And as a business too, because we're making sure patients are coming in. But on a personal level, that's one of the most important things we can do for ourselves, is to be preventative, even in mental health too.
Yeah. So it's basically gives you time now to play offense and,
Right.
and do that outreach and do the.
Because we're so used to being reactive right now.
Can you give us some insight into your PowerPoint slide that presented the vision of the data that you were wanting to see change when you went in and were trusted by the senior executives to go forward? What was on that slide? And the reason I asked this would be, you were just at Muse, and there are many, many folks that admire your ability to encapsulate all of these processes into a slide, but they don't know what that slide would be. What would you suggest and say to them that they should be aiming for, that senior executives are going to say, Katie, you have your finger on the pulse of our business?
I would say, out of everything on that PowerPoint, bringing forth the things that Luma can do that are going to automate the manual things we're doing. Okay. Which is almost every single service that Luma has to offer. It was honestly one of the most One of the easier presentations I've given, because it kind of speaks for itself, the product truly does, using AI to take off the mundane things and then make staff more productive using their brains.
Yeah. You're obviously a a MEDITECH first organization,
Yeah,
but you're not a MEDITECH only organization.
correct.
So what are some of the things that you would recommend to others that are leveraging the heck out of Expanse and all of the innovation? Because I mean, MEDITECH is just pretty phenomenal now. And so how did you think about what are we going to look for from somebody that's not per se, MEDITECH?
With MEDITECH, it's an EHR. So we want to make sure everything in it is documented correctly and that we're doing all of the pieces to do our part. But when you leverage other vendors and things to add to your EHR is when you're going to elevate, because that's whenever you really focus on a process. Because MEDITECH's not necessarily looking to focus on fixing our appointment reminder problem or referral problem or phone call problem. But when you do a partnership such as Luma and MEDITECH together, that's when you can change things. That's when you really affect the patient.
It's really interesting. Right. So effectively, we're kind of the jelly to their peanut butter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Angie, I'm as normal going off on one of these.
I want to be the peanut butter, not the jelly.
Me too.
I want us to be the glue,
Yeah.
We're 2 for 2 today. And in all seriousness, Katie, you started to unpack a little bit of your vision and how these various components fit within the vision that you have. So take us forward a year and walk us through these series of workflows that you will have deployed.
Every decision I make or anything I try to optimize around, I'm always looking back at the strategic plan and the different key objectives on it. In patient experience, service, people, a year from now, I would like for our calls to be answered within 20 seconds at 80%. I'm going to say 85%.
Yes.
A year from now. I would like to have an appointment reminder system that takes care of cancellations for us right then and there. And actually, an appointment reminder system that reschedules our patients for us and doesn't cancel. So we have a lower cancellation rate. Mm-hmm. Our no-show rate's gotten better. It's a pretty good no-show rate. We have about an average 5% no-show rate, but our cancellation rate could use some work. So that's another thing that I'm really excited about with Luma is the reschedule option for patients. I think that'll be huge. I know myself, if I get someone calling me on the phone, I'm like, who's calling me and why? Right. Text me, send me a text. And I think a lot of people are the same way. If I have to call someone and say, I have to cancel this, not happening. It's not happening. If I get a text that says, would you like to reschedule? Here's 3 times, done.
Yeah. And then you also mentioned waitlist. We talked about fax.
Yep. Also, Scheduler Assist is something I'm really excited about. I don't know if I've ever talked about this with you, Dave, but when we started scheduling, we kind of went around and sat with every provider to learn their preferences. And we've continued that. As providers come on board here, we meet with them and we create a matrix or a scheduling guideline. So I have a shared drive with my team where we have all these matrices for providers that we constantly manually update. So it is a file we have to go and reference constantly. I think Scheduler Assist is going to be huge for my team in the fact that we can put the things providers are wanting into Scheduler Assist so my team can even quicker schedule somebody correctly the first try.
We always hear things like comparatively when we did an evaluation, we do these things today. So we didn't want to lose those things. We wanted to have those. And then on the other side, we'll hear, hey, we want a partner that's like this, that's very holistic in the way that they are. But then you're looking for these unique capabilities that are unique to your health system and pair a solution like Luma because that solution addresses your problem uniquely.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about any of those that come top of mind that when you the capability you thought that's going to be a big problem?
AI Navigator to me is something that when I first saw that I was like, that's genius. we have so many patients that call in and they know the scheduling number because it's out there. It's for everyone to see. So they call us for everything. And to have an AI navigator that can listen to what the patient's wanting before they're routed to us will absolutely help our call volume. It'll get patients where they want to go on the first try so they're not being transferred, because that's very frustrating as a patient to have to be transferred around a ton of places. To use AI and to use technology to fix that problem is huge to me. And that's one of the first things that really caught my eye, that I started looking into.
I mean, you're a hometown hero, Katie. I mean, this whole conversation after meeting you, it's really clear that you had this vision of business problems that were progressive and were going to continue to survive without solutions.
Right. Right.
One of the real hidden benefits is absolutely going to be fax transformation. Because if you're trying to get that effectiveness for your team, there's, yes, a lot of these other capabilities are going to aid that and support that. But I mean, it's hard to win a relay race if the first runner isn't fast.
My thought is like beyond solutions. I feel like, Katie, I love the way that you think about just like solving broader problems. Like even fax transform alone. Yeah, it might help your team a little bit, but you need that fax transform plus referral plus scheduling. And so I'd love to hear just a tiny bit about your thought process on like how you decided on Luma. Like I know it was easy sell once you made that slide deck and presented it, but what made you choose us over maybe some other things that you were looking at?
I will tell you, the personal feel of working with each of you is a huge selling point. Because I know we've said this a ton of times, Golden Valley is my family. It feels like when I see Spiro at a conference, or I've seen you, Dave, like I'm reconnecting with family. And that is everything. I mean, that is a huge thing. And to know if I have that relationship with you, then you care about helping me get it right for our population, my family.
Oh, it's awesome. That's about as good as, so Angie has been with the team for 10 years now. And so she was part of this founding group of folks that sat in a room, Katie. And that was actually a lot of the original values was we believed that we could do that differently. And so that makes my heart feel good that you would say
Me
that.
too.
Yeah.
My heart's full.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, dear.
Someone who's been probably the most influential person in my life is my Aunt Joelle. And she's always said, be who you say you are. And Luma is who they say they are. And I really, truly mean that with my whole heart. That's any interaction I've had. Chris Lazo, he's been fantastic. I can't say enough. I really can't.
Katie, I can't think of a better mentor for our MEDITECH community and other patient access leaders. I mean, you've built a fantastic career. I mean, it's really clear that your senior executives see the benefit and the value in the vision that you've laid out. And we so appreciate you sharing that with us.
I also could not do that without them believing in me.
Yeah.
I can't let you say that without saying that, because they've been a huge part of me becoming who I am.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you are the vision for many of your staff who are looking to grow their career. And that's just such a neat thing. And I applaud your maturity and your foresight and your ability to lead people. I mean, it's really, really awesome.
Yeah. We like to end the show with just like some quick fire questions. We did like a lot of heavy lifting until now. And so no need to think too much about these. I'm just going to throw them at you. Answer with the first thing that comes to mind. What's your favorite way to spend a weekend?
With my boys.
And then if you had to do one thing in Missouri, what would it be?
Go to a Chiefs game.
Love.
If you could go to one place outside Missouri, where would you go?
Texas.
Where in Texas?
Houston.
Ooh,
Galveston specifically.
hot.
Is there family?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the first app you open in the morning?
Come on, say it.
Outlook.
TikTok.
Outlook.
No.
I am a bad email nerd.
I guess last question for you. What's your go-to karaoke song? This is my favorite one.
Oh,
Someone tell you to ask this.
No, you have one. I didn't even know. I have no context.
I am a Lil Wayne fanatic, and I can rap the entire A Milli.
Yeah, Angie, she's legendary. Legendary.
Dave, you need to send me to Missouri so I can see this in person.
Please. Anytime.
be the
You're
hype
welcome
man in the back.
anytime, Angie.
So Nikki also rapped Eazy-E at the music.
Nikki.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty impressive. I mean, we went from Frank Sinatra to not Frank Sinatra very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Who did Frank Sinatra? Was that you?
No, shit, no. I wasn't there, but yeah, the carnage was epic from what I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right.
Sad.
Go ahead, Ange.
I didn't prep for this.
All right, Katie, thank you for joining Unhinged, AKA whatever you want to call it.
It's called Unjargoned, Dave.
I know. I was doing that on purpose.